know what doesn't help? Everyone's staring at me. I'm
actually watching you on there.
Essentially, the door is locked. We can't go inside this private dining room. Let's just say, I think my high moments. You know, he decided 7 years ago.
That's incredible.
Absolutely incredible. So hi, I'm Ricky, founder and CEO of Fairytale Proposals and the Events Planner, one of the fastest growing proposal and event planning companies in the UK. I'm also your host of Behind the Proposals and Before the Aisle, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on the world of proposals, weddings, and event planning. The show takes you behind the scenes of what is now a business with a global footprint. Alongside my incredible team and expert guests from around the world, we'll be exploring everything from popping the question and planning your dream wedding to building and scaling your own event planning company. Whether you're tuning in or watching along, I'll guide you through the full event planning journey, from where it all began to the latest trends, design inspo, real life mishaps, lessons learned, and everything in between. Thanks for being here. Let's dive in. And today I'm joined by Anita.
I'm Anita, your event planner and professional event stylist at Fairytale Proposals.
You've been with us for a while now. Just to introduce yourself, do you want to talk a bit about your background, where you've come from, and the last kind of year with us?
Sure. I've definitely got into the events industry a little bit different. I didn't go to university, so very much finished sixth form, went straight into working. So I did full-time working in retail. COVID hit, and then that's when I realised this is the time that I really want to. I think everyone just realised what their dreams and passions really all about, and I really realised that I really want to get into events. Was a little bit difficult with the whole COVID experience with events, as the industry obviously was still trying to get back onto board. So I kind of went down the corporate events route, and then built my skills through that. And then one day, through Instagram, actually, I saw Fairytale Proposals. So that's when I applied, reached out, and here I am now, nearly 1 year later.
I thought you were following us right from the beginning.
Of course, I was.
Nice.
Always, since day one.
Okay. So through Fairytale Proposals and the Events Planner, we've built one of the UK's leading proposal planning companies, and we're proud to be one of the only ones with global presence. With operations in London and Sydney and partners around the world, we're turning intimate moments into unforgettable events, and of course, building what is set to be a 7-figure business.
Whether you're planning to pop the question, planning your dream wedding, or thinking about getting into the events world professionally, you are in the right place. Today, we start at the very beginning, so how Ricky launched the business, why events and proposals became his passion, and the stories that kept us going to date. How many years has it been now?
I think we're in our 5th year now, so 5 years.
Perfect. So expect some inside laughs, a little bit of chaos, and some major inspirations for anyone who's planning something special or dreaming into stepping into the world professionally. So let's go straight into it. Ricky, so why proposals and event plannings? What got you into inspiring about Fairytale Proposals? Why the name Fairytale Proposals, and why the events planner?
Wow. Okay, so it started in... So I used to live in Singapore, so I was working out in Singapore for about 2 years. Used to be in management consulting, working for one of the big four. And this was 2019, 2020. So I was out there for about 6 months and then COVID hit. And so Singapore's kind of take on COVID was, let's just shut the borders. COVID's not coming in. No one's going out. We will live life as normal. So whilst you guys were kind of quarantining, baking cakes, we were still out every night, more or less. I remember there was one time when there was like one case and they just locked down the whole country. So at that point in time, I suppose 2 years on, COVID was still around. We didn't know when the borders were going to open. And my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, who was my girlfriend at the time, she was in London, so she can come in, I can go out. So I decided, actually, I'm going to move back to the UK. And I want to pop the question. So like most people, I've kind of gone online, Googled, I've kind of looked up some proposal planners and event planners. I've reached out to quite a lot of them just to try and help me set something up. And I found that the responsiveness for a lot of planners just wasn't there. You'd go on these fantastic websites, fill out a form, and either they wouldn't get back to you or they'd get back to you like a week later. So where I was kind of messaging and, I just wasn't getting the kind of service and the support that I needed. So I ended up moving back, getting a couple of friends to help me, organize my proposal. We actually had it at the Shard, top of the Shard, over the weekend of her birthday, so she didn't expect
Nice.
it at all.
Mhm.
And yeah, it went well. Next morning, I essentially woke up. We stayed at the Shard that weekend, so I woke up with all these props in my room, thinking, "What do I do with this?" And I suppose the rest is history.
Yeah.
5 years on, and we're one of the leading proposal planners globally.
Mhm.
So yeah,
That's incredible, like,
yeah.
very incredible. So I guess that moves us on to maybe the fun part, because I guess that's what everyone wants to know about, is what has been the most wild or interesting proposal you've ever done,
Wow.
or the best story you'd probably tell anyone from a proposal?
So I suppose there's fantastic proposals, like we see a lot of intimate moments, but you use the word wild. Mm. Okay, there was once a time. So we do a lot of proposals at the Shard, being the tallest building in Western Europe. We use a lot of their private dining rooms, and I remember this goes back a couple of years, but we had a couple proposing in the private dining room. It was a super luxury event, 3-course meal, champagne on arrival, the whole works, right? So the team have gone in, we've set everything up, um, and once everything's set up, a host will guide the
Mhm.
couple into the room under the disguise of the dinner reservation. So 2 to 3 hours later, teams arrive back to clear everything up, and the waitress on the day has just invited us over to the room next door, and she's told us, "Yeah, the couple aren't quite finished yet." 3 hours later, full meal this is, right? And then she said, "They're still on starters." I was like, "Excuse me? Uh, starters?" She's like, "Yeah, essentially the door is locked. We can't go inside this private dining room. Let's just say the couple had a meal of their own. I think mile
Nice.
high moments was the kind of phrase that we use
Mhm.
in the office. So I leave the rest up to everyone's imagination. Um, yeah, what was funny though, I remember we were in the room next door. The rooms have a little peephole, right? So you can see the corridor. And then we heard the door unlatch, and about, I'd say, half an hour later, so this is 3.5 hours in, I remember seeing the couple leave casually, very like nothing's happened. The waitress has gone out to ask if everything's okay, and they're like, "Yeah, the meal was fantastic. Thank you." And we're like, "Mhm, I bet it was."
Deep down, you know what's really happened inside.
Which is all great, But yeah.
It sounds like that was one wild and incredible experience, even for the couple and for you. So,
Yeah.
no, that's great. And how often do you plan proposals at the Shard?
I would say we're there at least a couple times a week.
Mhm.
Everything from, as I mentioned, private dining proposals. We call it once in a lifetime, where you can have fantastic rooms overlooking the whole of London Tower Bridge with balloons everywhere, big kind of 4 or 5 foot letters,
Mm.
uh, 5 4 5 foot letter signs, marry me signs. So yeah, I'd say a couple of times a week easily. It's also a fantastic spot, I suppose, if you want to have a romantic weekend away. Um, you know, go away with your partner for the weekend, enjoy the
Mhm.
spa. They've got an infinity pool, so it's a great spot. Above and beyond, I suppose, proposals, we do other events as well. So weddings, baby showers. I had my own baby shower there.
Mm.
Um, wow, what is now 3 months ago, actually. Time flies. But yeah. So Anisha, now you've nearly been with us for a year.
Mhm.
What's been your kind of favorite moments?
My favorite moments, I think for me is before this whole job, I guess, I had never seen a proposal, never seen one. You walk around and you don't see proposals on a daily basis, even if you're in London. And I feel like now I see them all the time. I'm like, how do people miss them?
I've always thought the same. Like we do, I think we do between 600 or 800 proposals a
Mhm.
year, and it's like I see a proposal every day, and I'm like, how have I missed this?
Mm.
Like my
Yeah.
whole life. Like, and some of the proposals we do are public,
Yeah.
right? So I'm
Absolutely.
like, how have I never seen anyone propose apart from the proposal that we've organised?
Yeah. No, I think that was probably been one of the most special moments I've probably seen, is actually seeing
Okay.
um couples get down on a knee asking their loved ones. I think also just when they are the ones where there are public and we're there, is listening to some of the speeches, and like they're really incredible just to see some of the thoughts and like the process that's gone behind it, and just seeing that smile when the partner says yes. It's just really nice to see. I don't think it's something small and something lightly you take.
And
Um
what's the favourite one then so far to date?
I would say my favorite one that's probably stuck with me till date is probably been on Tower Rooftop.
Okay.
Stunning views. I think by far is my most favorite views of London. I don't think I've seen anything better till date. It's really stunning. The setup was incredible. It was a whole luxury feel, with like the whole red rose arch, floral displays. There was a carpet with the sparklers, and it was done in the evening, so all the lighting stood out. There was finalist along the whole way, and it was just incredible. I think just seeing the London skyline with that whole setup looked absolutely amazing. And that couple,
Nice.
they definitely dressed 10 out of 10 when that whole setting.
Fantastic. So, Anisha, we've obviously got probably listeners online who are probably thinking about popping the question, um, what kind of design ideas or inspo could you give them?
Yeah, of course. So we already have tailored packages that we already offer that we've kind of tailored,
Yeah.
especially for our most popular venues and some of our exclusive venues as well. But one of the things I've always said to all clients that reach out is to keep it personal. This is a moment that is really intimate for you and your partner, and it's a journey that you've been along with your partner. So keeping that personal touch the whole way through is really important. It doesn't have to be big. Some people really like this private, intimate moment. Some people like extravagant moments. There is no right or wrong. It's just making sure that you have put those personal elements from your relationship, from your journey with your partner into your proposals. So some of the things that I've spoken to some clients about is like things about Harry Potter. Maybe they've done like Harry Potter marathons, or maybe that's the one thing that they've really got into. And you can really use some of these ideas and themes to implement it into your proposal, or vintage romance. Some people are just old school classic romantics, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it's just
Yeah.
adding all of those things. Some are travelers who just love traveling and going around. So I think it's just really making sure that you've really touched in terms of what's personal to you and your partner, and making it showcase throughout the whole proposal, and making sure that it's really emotionally connected, because yeah, again, it's your moment with your partner. Some examples, I guess, that we would say is, for instance, if you wanted to go through like the whole garden fairy tale look, is maybe doing an outdoor proposal in one of like a bandstand or a garden, looking at like fairy lights or some floating candles, just to kind of add to the ambience of the whole proposal. Or even some people really like the whole cultural fusion in their proposals. So maybe even looking at maybe some like Bollywood elegance, adding to your proposal, especially if you are a Bollywood fan. I believe we've actually done like a mob proposal before.
Done a few.
So it's things like that. It's really small things that matter. That's really important for your proposal.
Perfect. And so, Anisha, I know I mentioned you've been with us for a year now. Um, what's the best and hardest part of your job as a planner? I'm just
Mm,
conscious there's probably people out there who, like you were in a corporate job before this,
mhm.
um, really like the idea or really want to take that leap into event planning. I mean, if you want to give them some insights, what would you say is, yeah, what's the kind of best part of your job, and then what's the most hardest part of your job?
Mhm. I think the best part of the job is just actually loving your job. Like, it's actually, it sounds really
She's going to say that in front of me.
it just sounds really like small, but it's actually so important, because that's what drives you every single day to do these proposals, but also to interact with clients. And I think just speaking to clients on a daily basis, understanding their story, and then being able to bring that to life is probably been the best part of the job. Being there on the day, seeing the happy moments, getting the feedbacks from the clients afterwards. And we do like video feedbacks. And sometimes when we hear what the clients have to say, it's some of these small things that we probably haven't picked up on straight away, but the clients have picked up on it, and they really just go and see how much effort that's been put into it. That really makes you realize, wow, like I'm so grateful for this job.
Yeah.
And it's not a typical job. It's not really like what we do is quite niche if we think about it. It's not it's something that's really tailored to specific individuals, which is why I probably would say that's the best part of the job. Some of the hard parts, inevitably with event planning in any forms, whether it's a proposal, a wedding, anything you're planning, you always have to be ready for uncertainties. You don't always know that you might have a plan steady today. It doesn't mean that tomorrow something might not come your way.
Yeah.
There could be anything. It could be things like someone from the team is sick. It's just having all of these plans in place and making sure that you've got enough contingency if anything does go wrong, that you've got a plan B. But also juggling multiples. We're never just having one event. It's not one event start end the next one. It's juggling multiple ones all the time and making sure that you are streamlined the whole way through, giving our clients the same customer experience the whole way through, and just making sure that everything's ready in plan. And that's probably sometimes the hardest because, like I said, we're not juggling just one. Sometimes you're juggling multiples. We have peak seasons, and some of the peak seasons days you're literally up, and before you know it, when you hit bed, you're like, wow, I've done a lot today, but you don't realize until you've
Yeah, you don't.
literally switched off. So it's just all of those things I think would probably be the hardest part. But then you realize the bigger picture
Yeah.
is a lot better.
I think actually the key kind of, as you spoke, the key word that came to me was perfectionist.
Mm.
Just being a perfectionist in your job. As an example, I suppose on Sunday we had a proposal. We had two proposals happening more or less at the same time, an hour apart. One at Tower Rooftop, as Anita you mentioned, and the second one was at one of our Skyline rooftops. And I remember I was there at Skyline Rooftop whilst you were at
The
Tower
rooftop, yeah.
Rooftop. And I was setting up at the Skyline Rooftop. Everything was going to plan, and then one of the candles stopped working. I just couldn't figure out why it stopped working. So we had half an hour between that happening and the client arriving. And let's be honest, like we could have just gone ahead without that one
Mhm.
candle, and the client probably wouldn't have noticed at all. But I remember calling you straight away, and John, who's behind the camera here, I said to you, "Can you get some candles? Order John to your Uber, send him over." And he got there. Like there must have been a lot of traffic as well, but I think he got there 30 seconds before the client walked out of the lift. But in that 30 seconds, we were able to put that candle down, get Jonty out, and literally the clients walked out of the lift, and I greeted them straight away, and they had no idea. But yeah, there's something in that, right? It's being
Yeah.
that perfectionist, making sure everything goes to plan. The
Mhm.
client probably won't pick up on that, but
No,
we
absolutely
do.
not.
And I
Mhm.
think that's what makes these moments kind of special. So yeah.
No, absolutely. And I've spoken a lot about some of my key highlights and
Mm.
proposals that I've probably said has stood out to me. What has probably been your most memorable proposal that you have done till date? Because you've definitely done a lot more than
Mm.
me.
Should probably talk about my own, shall I? Done that. Actually, there was a client of ours. We organised his proposal at Floral Park Country Estate. It's one of the magnificent manor houses in Hampshire, about an hour from London. So it was a complete bespoke proposal for this guy, and I remember having a couple of discovery planning calls with him, and the girl he was proposing to, I think he'd been with her for about 7 years, and he knew that was the girl that he would marry from day number one. So what he had done over the 7 years is every single birthday, anniversary, Christmas, he gave her a card, anniversary card, birthday card, and in each of those cards there was a riddle, and that riddle was essentially what was it about her, or some characteristic about her which he loved.
Mhm.
And he never disclosed the answer to that riddle. He had always had it in his head that on the day of his proposal he wants those cards to be part of the moment. So we set up a beautiful kind of proposal in the grounds of the country estate, and we had this golden kind of mesh arch where we clipped all of his cards on. So when the couple arrived, they arrived under a disguise of like a dinner reservation. He obviously guided her over to the arch. She saw all these cards there, and one by one, he kind of gave her the answers for the riddles. And that was him explaining to her what was it about her that was so special. And then he popped the question. So that one kind of stood out to me the most because it's never seen that before. It's completely bespoke.
Mm.
We helped him all through the journey of how we could like loop in these sentimental elements,
Yeah.
the bit that you talked
Mhm.
about earlier, these personal elements. But watching from a distance, just seeing her kind of breaking down, and he had
Yeah.
decided 7 years ago, like
That's
it's
incredible.
absolutely incredible. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably the kind of most memorable proposal that
Yeah.
sticks with me.
Wow, that's really incredible. That's literally words of love off first sight. That's how you could describe it. That's amazing. And you mentioned that this was at Royal Park. So how often do you use that venue? Is that quite popular?
It's a really popular venue,
Mhm.
generally speaking. So whenever we use Frog Park, it's all privately hired. So the whole space, the whole manor house, the ground is ours for the proposal. Full privacy, no one else is there. It's also used for weddings as well, so great for weddings for up to about 300 guests.
Mhm.
Do a lot of kind of African and Asian weddings there, which is great. It's also a beautiful kind of internal. Think it's called the I think it's called the gallery or the hall, but beautiful for kind of Western ceremonies as well.
Mhm.
But actually, what's really cute about Floral Park, this is more on the wedding side, I suppose, but they've recently created a bride's, is it a groomsman room? Is the first one, and then a
Mhm.
bridesmaid's room, and then the groomsman room. It's basically you've got a snooker table and the old pool table, billiards table. They've got cigars, super kind of. You can imagine the male groom and then if you look at the kind of bridesmaids room, they've got all these kind of chairs and mirrors set up for what's the word I'm looking for? It's it's like salon
Instagrammable?
style, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it, salon style. So you can have all your bridesmaids getting ready together. It just caters for everything, which is fantastic. But yeah, the outside is all manicured, beautiful. So there's a beautiful dome which we use quite often for proposals.
Nice, that sounds amazing. And we've spoken a lot about proposals. So what about weddings? What's
No.
probably been the most exciting wedding that you've planned or memorable wedding?
Okay, wow. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to talk about mine then here, just because so much went into it. So I was gonna get the date wrong a second ago, actually, I know.
Your wife will not be
So
happy if she's
no,
listening.
she wouldn't. So no, I got married in 2022, and we got married on an island off the coast of Thailand, Koh Samui. So it was planning a destination wedding all the way from London. And this, as you can imagine, it was still during COVID. I remember when we went over to Bangkok. We flew into Bangkok. We had to do, I think, 4 or 7 days worth of quarantine. So it was organising everything remotely. But yeah, so it was at the Conrad, which is a beautiful kind of hilltop resort in Koh Samui, overlooking one of the best sunsets. So the wedding, so many. It was a 3 day affair, 3 day, 4 day. I think it was a 3 day affair.
Mhm.
Started off with just a guest boat party where we went over to one of the neighbouring islands. That was the first day. Second day was a couple of Asian events that we do, like a haldi ceremony and a
Mhm.
mendi ceremony. So we had a beautiful kind of large villa at the resort, which we used for that. And the third day, we actually had the Western wedding, which was on the infinity pool. So we had a glass platform put in um, on the pool itself, which was absolutely amazing. The shots are amazing. Followed by an Indian wedding on the beach. But there was a lot of planning that went into it. What I found out that was if you can plan a wedding there, you can plan a wedding anywhere. So just to give you some perspective, it took us about a year just to agree the food menu with the chefs.
1 year.
1 year, and that wasn't because it was overcomplicated. It was because actually, no, he'll say this himself, so I think I can say this. So, for an example, the food menu took a year to develop, and that was because Justin, who he was actually the executive chef at the Turnberry, which is Donald Trump's hotel up in Scotland. So he was out at the Conrad and Koh Samui, and he had promised me corn-fed chickens for all our guests.
Mhm.
But it transpired that actually there are no bloody corn-fed chickens in Thailand. So Justin being executive chef with who's used to having a brigade, right, in his restaurants in the UK, is now in Thailand trying to find corn-fed chickens, and there isn't any. If there's any animal lovers out there, please just turn this off right now. But he had to get a separate island and
Mhm.
breed some corn-fed chickens so that the guests had corn-fed chickens.
Wow.
But also, I mean, just within that, like I said, talked about earlier, it's all about perfectionism. So even the menu was kind of tailored around us, what we liked, our backgrounds, Indian and Chinese. So we had all the dishes kind of, tweaked and come up from scratch. So yeah, there was a lot that went into it. I remember when we were looking for simple things like chairs, like sometimes the answers I'd get from vendors is, "Oh, we can fly them in from Bangkok." And there's only so many times with a budget you can say yes.
Mhm.
So initially, yes, okay, we'll fly in the priest. Yes, we'll fly in the violinist. But I was like, okay, I'm not spending £2,500 to fly 2 chairs in.
Mm.
So yeah, it's probably the kind of most memorable wedding I've done. My own. It was a fantastic affair, right? Yeah. So yeah,
Sounds incredible. I
it
feel
was
like I
good.
need to see pictures.
You've never seen pictures?
I
You've
think
seen
I think I've seen
pictures.
The View,
Okay,
and I think I
nice.
fell in love, and I think I took inspiration, where I was like, "Oh, it's really nice." Um,
Nice.
but for our listeners who have recently just got engaged, or the clients who are looking to propose will all be engaged, what tip would you give them when it comes to wedding planning? Because it's a lot of things involved. Like, where do you start? And how can you try to stay calm? Because I guess a lot of people, it's easy to get frustrations during wedding planning,
Yeah.
as there's a lot of elements. Some people like quite small, intimate weddings. Some like the whole extravagant
Yeah.
400, 500 people weddings. So what one tip could you give them?
A couple of things I've seen, just I suppose drawing in from my own kind of wedding that I planned and other events that we've planned for, our clients and other weddings that you've just been to as a guest
Mm-hmm.
as well. I think so for our own wedding, we did have like a wedding planner in place. We used them to a certain extent because we were planners ourselves. And actually, I wouldn't do that again. I would actually just have a planner in place just to deal with everything. So on the day, you're not worrying about things
Mm-hmm.
and you're not thinking, oh, this needs to happen at this time, that time. It allows you to kind of soak in the moment more. And I say that because of my own wedding, I suppose. We had someone, but half of it was always also me. So
Mm.
throughout the wedding, half of it was me thinking, oh, this needs to happen, that needs to happen, just watching the person like a hawk, like, is this happening? Whereas actually you should just really be engrossed in your own wedding. And I've seen it at some friends' weddings who haven't had planners, and you can see like the mothers or the fathers or the family all stressed, like super
Mm.
stressed. And I'm like, yeah, this is why having a planner, a coordinator, detailed plans. Yes, let's be honest, it does cost a bit to have, people there
Mm-hmm.
working for you, but actually that cost is de minimis
Yeah.
for that moment you're going to have on the day itself. So yeah, that would be my biggest tip. Have people that can take care of things for you and have a plan in place which people can follow. So whether you go for someone professional who manages it all, especially for a wedding which is 300 people or something,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Or you just have some friends or bridesmaids, groomsmen, just taking accountability of it.
Yeah.
I'd say that's the biggest tip.
So we've spoken a lot of key highlights and memorable moments.
Yeah,
But what about a moment maybe recently that's gone wrong? I know you shared about that one candle, but that's more of a perfectionist. But is there
yeah,
something that's probably recently gone wrong during a proposal or an event that you've held?
yeah. I think it was on Saturday actually. So we had a proposal in High Park in the Rose Garden of High Park. It was a picnic proposal for two clients who had just flown in from the States. So on the morning, what transpired is, as these things happen, but one of the champagne flutes in the picnic basket had smashed. So this was kind of an hour before the proposal itself. So I remember the whole team, like, I just said, look, we need to find some champagne flutes. So we went into your usual kind of Tesco's and stuff to see if they had any. The answer was no. And then Anita, actually, you came up with the idea. Was it you or Marin? I think Marin came up with it on Regent Street to say,
Hmm.
look, there's a Zara home or an
Yeah.
M&S home or something. They'll definitely have these flutes.
Yeah.
So we all kind of ran in there looking for flutes. They had two coops, which was fantastic. We quickly brought those coops, cleaned them up, and we were kind of running from kind of Regent Street all the way to High Park to try and make this picnic on time with two champagne
Yeah.
glasses. Um, the good thing was actually the client was running about half an hour late. So,
Worked out.
so I was like, phew, it worked out really well. But we were on time nonetheless. But that was probably kind of one of those kind of moments where things just, don't go to plan. But it's you're always going to have that in events. Things are
Hmm.
always going to, throw you off. But it's about how you deal with it, and how you problem solve. That's the biggest kind of thing I'd say. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So we've spoken a lot about the fairy tale proposals and the event planners.
Mhm.
So what's next for us?
Wow. What's next? I suppose the key, as you know, like our mission is to become the biggest proposal planner and one of the leading event management companies in the world. So we're based in the UK, Sydney. We've got planners all across the world. It's just about expanding that operations. Um, so yeah, I would say it's to become the best in the field. Everyone that someone that everyone looks up to. That's essentially what I would say.
Mhm.
So yeah, we've got our work cut off. So thanks for joining us on our very first episode of Behind the Proposal and Before the Aisle. We're just getting started and we've got so much more to share. Real life stories, expert advice, and maybe a little bit of chaos behind the scenes. Follow us, subscribe, leave a review, and come hang out with us on Instagram at fairy.tailproposals or at @the_events planner. We'll see you next week for more magic and mischief. Until then, keep dreaming big and planning bigger.